Hello everyone, this is Peter with GOODEREADER.com, and it's GOODEREADER's 10-year anniversary this year. From 2009 to 2019, we've been in business for 10 years, and with that, so really have e-readers. There's a couple anomalies that existed before the heyday of e-readers, but a couple used LCD monochrome and didn't really count as e-ink devices, so we're not going to count those. We're going to count just basically looking at the last 10 years of mainstream consumer available e-readers, and we're going to show you screen sizes, the 10 most commonly used screen sizes in the industry, as well as a couple other ones that have something of note or something that we should acknowledge. So let's check it out. Starting with the 5-inch screen size. The e-reader that most comes to mind for us, at least with 5-inch, is the Kobo Mini. And this is because it was the first time they've deviated away from 6 inches for such a long time, the other direction, smaller, and it was extremely popular. It went out of stock pretty quickly and actually came back into stock a little while later, and then it went out of stock yet again and it was discontinued. When it came back into stock, it was actually $19.99 Canadian at one point, so obviously it just ran away with it. There are a couple other devices that use the 5-inch screen size though, like the Sony Reader Pocket, the Pocketbook 360 Plus, and the Texture Beagle. We're not really going to count the Texture Beagle though because it ran on batteries and it didn't even technically have an operating system. 5.7 inch. We're going to squeeze this one in, although no one really used the screen size, one did, and it bears mentioning. The Kobo Mirasol. This thing used a Mirasol screen, which basically means between the red, blue, and green colors, they had different air gaps that when the light touched and voltage was applied, it became smaller and bigger, and the combination of which created color. And this meant low consumption, easy to see in high light, easy to see in low light, and it can play videos. The thing about this was that it came and went almost overnight. It sold for about a year, way back in 5 years ago, and it was just gone after a while. And Mirasol had all these promotional things saying it's going to pioneer the way we see e-readers and devices and tablets and cell phones, and we haven't really seen too much since. So the South Korean company Kobo kind of had this in their pocket. It sold like crazy and then just trickled away. You're able to find some on Yahoo Auctions and eBay, and then that was about it. 6-inch screen size. This is the standard. This is the golden standard. This is what all the devices and major manufacturers use as their baseline. Amazon, Kobo, Onyx, Pocketbook, Tolino, everyone uses the 6-inch size because it's the overall greatest base model size that you can use, and this is what Amazon started with. This is what the Paperwhite used, the Oasis used, the Kobo devices used. Everyone used this size. It's industry standard. It's indisputed. The most devices that are e-ink in the world use the 6-inch screen size, and inarguably, the Amazon line of devices majoritively use the 6-inch screen size, and despite what you say, they are the best-selling and most popular e-reader in the entire world. 6.8 inches. Us in the industry, we were kind of wondering when e-readers were going to get bigger, and not the jumps to the 9.7s and 10.3s, which we'll mention later, but up an entire inch of screen size. And it went to 6.8 instead of 7, and we were like, what's going on here? But once the Aura HD came out and the Aura H2O, and we started playing with these, and we saw that extra screen real estate does wonders. It displays more text. You don't have to turn pages nearly as much. PDFs look better. It didn't really increase production costs all that much, and it was a nice change to see over the conventional 6-inch device. We actually even created one of our own, which is the GOODEREADER 6.8, that to this day is the only combination of those features and specs of any e-reader in the industry. Built-in case, stylus layer, capacitive layer, glow light with an SD card slot, running Android, under $200. 7-inch screen size. Now, although this is an extremely popular screen size for tablets, we don't see them on e-readers at all. The only one we saw close to that early on was the Sony PRS 950, but that was 7.1. We're not going to count that. There is one e-reader that uses the 7-inch screen size, Kindle Oasis 2. When this thing came out, we thought we'd see a Kindle Oasis 1 in a bigger shell, but they got rid of the built-in included case with a built-in battery expansion that made it so cool, and they just made it bigger and got rid of the accessory rail on the back, and actually it was really expensive. If you were to get the 3G variant and you live in Canada, it was almost over $410 by the time it landed. It was really expensive, it didn't really break any grounds, and the screen size difference wasn't really enough to push a lot of people to buy it. 7.8 inch. Over the past couple years, we have seen tons of companies embrace the 7.8 inch screen size. Reason being, it's way bigger than a 6 and it's way smaller than a 10.3 or 9.7. So you get that perfect middle ground, absolutely perfect, with amazing screen real estate, not too high production costs, and you don't have to be burdened by that gigantic screen size if you don't want it. This is still very much in the consumer realm, and we've seen a lot of manufacturers use the 7.8 inch, like the Kobo Aura 1, the Tolino Epos, the Onyx Books Nova, and most notably the Boyu Likebook Mars, which was an octa-core absolute beast, 2 gigs of RAM, Android. It was voted the best e-reader of 2018 by GOODEREADER. So the 7.8 inch, we seem to be seeing a lot of this, and actually Onyx is coming out with a Boyu competitor, the Nova Pro, which is going to be a really good matchup. 8 inch. Now again, popular in tablets, not so popular in the e-reader realm, but something did happen that the Forma came out, and the Forma wasn't 7.8, wasn't 6.8, wasn't 7 like the Oasis, although it looked like the Oasis. It was 8 inch, and it did take its styling directly from the Oasis 2. You can see it right there. It's looks just like it. Has the 2-button layout, has the asymmetrical design, or symmetrical if you hold it landscape. It was a great e-reader when it came out. It came out in 2 different variants, 8 gig, 32 gig, and it was available very internationally. Kobo is one of those big players in the game. They've been around forever, and they chose an 8 inch to go with their device. And you know what? That extra little bit of screen real estate really does it wonders, and this thing was a huge success. We're not going to count the Inkbook 8 because, I'm sorry, but everything Inkbook seems to release is 4 or 5 years behind the rest of everybody else, so we're just going to stick with the Forma on this one. 9.7 inch. 9.7 inch is one of those really weird screen sizes that came and went and came and went and came and went. We saw it get kicked off really early on in the e-reader game with the Kindle DX. This thing was beautiful. It had a keyboard, didn't have a touch screen, but it had a huge screen on it, which a lot of people seemed to like. They also had a 3G variant that did not restrict you on just visiting the store. You basically do get unlimited free data anywhere in the world on this thing. It's crazy. But then it went away. Then things started coming out like the Pocketbook Pro, it came and went, and then the Taco Book Color, which we're going to stop on for a sec because this thing was color. Although it didn't really hit it off and revolutionize the e-reader world, it worked, and it was available for a short period of time, and it was color. It was color e-ink, and it wasn't absolutely unattainable. It was below the $1,000 mark. So this thing was out and about. We saw it at trade shows, we saw it at events, we met with the company themselves, and it just didn't take off, and since then we haven't seen color again, and it's been almost 7 years since we've seen any commercially available color device. And now we see things like the Onyx Books Note S. Amazing device. It's a downgrade from the 10.3 in terms of screen size, but it works really well. 9.7 was one of those weird screen sizes that people couldn't really land on. Not really a lot of major companies embraced, and in fact Amazon brought back the Kindle DX for a short time. It then got discontinued again, but to this day in 2019 people still use their Kindle DX. 10.3. 10.3 is all about note-taking. The reason so many companies embrace 10.3 is because it bridges that gap between consumer and professional. It is truly a prosumer level of screen size because you don't have to be faced with the $800 MSRP price tag of a 13.3. You can get away with $399, $459 and still have a large screen device. The thing about it is that these are note-taking devices first and foremost. The Sony DPT CP1, which is a smaller version of the second generation Sony, you'll see pictures and stuff, it'll all come to you. This thing was very restrictive. You couldn't even connect to Wi-Fi in your own house, let alone Starbucks and McDonald's and any cafe you go to. You actually have to use a computer computer program. Not only that, it doesn't run Android, it doesn't really even have a home screen, and you can't read anything but PDFs, but the writing experience is what matters on these devices, and Sony is the best stylus feel. Since then, the Remarkable came out that gave you Photoshop level customization on the go. You could do layers, you could do transportable PNG transparent devices, and then Onyx came into play, and Onyx has a lot of note-taking devices. They have several in the 10.3 realm alone. They're also getting glow lights on them soon, but not before Boyu put out one, the Likebook Mimas, which had a glow light and an octa-core processor with stereo speakers, a 3.5mm headphone jack, USB-C, and running full Android. 10.3 seems to be one of those perfect screen size realms because it offers low production costs, easy to sell to people, doesn't break the bank when someone sees that price tag, and people give it a chance. When people saw the large screen devices, they were scared off, which is our last screen size of this video. 13.3 inch. This is one of those really weird screen sizes that no one thought would take off, but it did. The Sony DPT-S1 kicked everything off years ago, and people were stunned by the $1,400 price tag. You can buy 2 Apple devices for that same price and do way more. But once people saw what it can do, they liked it. It had a stylus layer, it had good professional features on it. They then went on to make the RP1, which is the 2nd generation. It was super slim, it was super light, it was almost a little bit flexible, and it had all that great stylus feel, but better. This thing was amazing. The price tag lowered a little bit, and as of 2019, you can find them for about $600 or $700, depending on where you're getting them. But now they changed it so that you can't connect to Wi-Fi without a computer, you can't transfer files without a computer and a program, you can't read anything but PDFs, it doesn't have the ability to do music or images or anything else. Although PDFs are pretty versatile, the device was actually pretty useless outside of the professional scene. Unless you're a law firm and you're keeping everything on one server, or you're an educational institute, the device was pretty useless overall to the consumer market. But there were some 13.3s that were popular. We made one of our own, actually the GOODEREADER 13.3, but as the years went on, everything advanced and the hardware seemed kind of slow, so that kind of all faded into the dust. The Pocketbook briefly dabbled in this with the Pocketbook CAD 13.3. Was at a lot of trade shows, didn't really take off to the extent that this one did, the Onyx Books Max 2 Pro. It is the greatest note-taking large screen e-reader we have ever used. Period. It has absolutely everything you'd ever need on it. It's lightweight, it has a stylus loop, it has built-in audio, it has Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, running Android with a quad-core processor, capacitive layer, touchscreen layer. There's nothing that this doesn't have. You can do everything on it. You can use the Android side of it. You can use the Photoshop-esque note-taking side of it. You can read books on it. You can play music on it. You can play video on it, and it's e-ink. And it's only $800, and I say only because the 13.3-inch realm is expensive, and for them to release something like this for that price is amazing, and they finally landed on something that works. Dasung isn't an e-reader, but we'll throw it in there really quick because they made this huge 13.3-inch monitor that you use an HDMI cable to connect to. The first one was a mess. They had this 8-cable dongle you had to put all together into your computer and driver CDs to make it work. The second generation was good because all you did was plug it into the HDMI cable and it exported your HDMI feed to the monitor, and it worked really well. But the Onyx Books Max 2 can do that as well, and it doesn't need power. You literally have this amazing device that does everything. You plug it into an HDMI cable, which is included in the box along with a case as well, and there's your secondary monitor that you don't have to spend $1,099 to buy a dedicated device that doesn't do anything else. The Onyx Books Max 13.3 is one of those devices that we wish came out a long time ago, and we are glad that it's here because this is truly for consumers prosumers or professionals the best e-ink device we have ever used with a stylus layer. There are other devices on this list, and there's other screen sizes on this list: 10.2, 7.1, 8.1, 4.3. We're not going to count any of those because they really only had one or two devices, if not just one device. They weren't by major companies, and they didn't really do anything for the industry. This is our top 10 video. It wasn't our favorites because it's just telling you the history of all the e-reader screen sizes we've ever seen that are of note, that are popular. This is our 10-year anniversary. The video is not exactly our 10-year anniversary video, but we are in business 10 years, and it is February 2019, and we're absolutely amazed by your guys's love for what we do, and we try to give back as much as possible. We've done probably close to 100 contests over the past 10 years. We made an app store with over 60,000 apps on it, an APK to bar converter, audiobook reader on Google Play, and we love to give back. We love to develop all these things that have to do with e-readers and offer them to you guys, because it's important that we keep doing what we do so you can be informed in the best possible way of anything to do with e-readers. And if you want to buy them, we sell them as well. We're partnered with Boyu, we're partnered with Onyx, Pocketbook, Bokeen. We have all the facilities and all the resources to help you guys out best we can. We're also at our 50,000 subscriber mark, which is amazing. We just really want to thank you guys. And with this video, if you need any other questions, or if you are ever wondering, is a 5-inch better, a 7, 9.7, 13.3, or even a dual screen 13.3 Guido, which is two 13.3 sandwiched together and offered at more than $1,700 Canadian. Check it out for GOODEREADER.com, and a 10-year wrap-up of the 10 screen sizes. This is Peter.